All right, the focus of this lesson is student loans. Example 1. As an incoming college freshman, Ariana received a 10-year, $9,100 federal direct unsubsidized loan with an interest rate of a 4.29%. Now, just a reminder, from the reading, we learned that if it was unsubsidized, that meant that the interest would accrue the moment the money was credited. So she knows that she can begin making loan payments 6 months after graduation. That's that grace period that they allow you to find a job so that you can start paying them back. But that interest will accrue from the moment the funds are credited to her account. How much interest will she accrue while still in school and over the 6-month grace period? All right. So the question we're trying to answer is how much interest. Now, this is simple interest because we don't see anything about compounding or anything of that sort. So we're going to be using our simple interest formula. I equals PRT, where P is the principal, R is the rate, and T is the time in years. So the first thing we want to identify is what is our principal, right? That's the amount borrowed. We could see here that that's $9,100. So that's our P. The next thing we want to answer is what is our rate? And we could see here that our interest rate is a 4.29%. And just remember, when we plug this in, we always want to plug in the decimal form. And then what is our time? Now, if we look closely at the problem, we do see that the loan is a 10-year loan. However, we see that the question just wants to know how much interest will accrue while she's in school and over the 6 months. We are assuming that she's at a 4-year school and we have 6 months. So 4 years and 6 months is 4.5 years. So our T will be 4.5. So we're going to calculate this. So we have I is equal to 9,100 times our 0.0429 times our 4.5 years. Let's use our calculator. So 9,100 times 0.0429 times the 4.5 years before she has to pay it back. We could see that the interest earned here is $1,756 and about 76 cents. Right? So that is $1,756.76. And that would be the amount of interest that Ariana would be earning, right, or accruing, not earning, but accruing during the time she was in her 4 years of college and that 6-month grace period. Now, you do have to keep in mind this loan is just for freshman year. So Ariana will take out likely another loan for another $9,100 or more, depending if the tuition changes, for sophomore year, for junior year, and senior year. And each year, interest will be accruing on each of those. Example 2. Ariana can elect to defer all payments. Defer means to put off all payments during the 4.5-year period. Her loan balance would then be the sum of the amount borrowed and the interest accrued over the 4.5-year non-payment period. Determine the interest that she would pay on this loan. All right, so they want us to determine the interest we would pay on this new balance. All right, so let's start with that. What is her loan balance? So according to what we see here, the loan balance is the sum means add, the amount borrowed, which was in this case $9,100, and the interest accrued, which we got on the previous example, right? And that was $1,756.76, right? So let's go ahead and add those. 9,100, 1,756 and 76 cents. So that there gives us our new balance. So upon finishing college, she will have a new balance of $10,856.76. Now the question is, how much interest will she earn on that? So let's do our interest formula again, right? So I is equal to PRT. So our new balance, our new principal is $10,856.76 times our rate, which was a 0.0429, times the time. So at this point, she now has 10 years, right, to pay back this loan. So we're going to put 10, and then we're going to calculate. So times 0.0429 times 10 years. All right, so over the life of the loan, she will end up paying this amount more in interest. So we have I is equal to $4,657.55 in additional interest over those next 10 years as she repays the loan, you know, her freshman year loan. Example 3. So suppose that Ariana only paid interest during her 4 years in school, right? So that she could avoid having this extra high new balance and the 6-month grace period. What will Ariana now pay in interest over the term of the loan? So let's say she paid that $1,756, right? That she earned in interest during it, and she paid it actually while she was in school. So if she did that, then her balance would still just be that 9,100. The rate is still the 0.0429, and she still has 10 years. All right, so we have 9,100 times 0.0429 times 10 years. So then at that point, she would have only $3,903.90 in interest. So you see here, she will pay almost $1,000 less, right, by paying for the interest while she's in school. So it might be a good option to consider, right? Because we look at that, 3,900 versus the 4,600. And she gets this option by paying off that $1,756.76 while she's in school. All right, example 4. In example 3, Ariana chose to pay only her interest each month. Now, her interest will be due on the first of the month. How would she calculate how much interest she needed to pay? Okay, so if you remember from before, we know that the total interest for that 4.5-year period was going to be that $1,756.76. We know that she has 4.5 years to pay this. So 4.5 years is how many months, right? So 4.5 years, there are 12 months in a year. She has 54 months. So let's put that here, 54 months. So we're going to take that amount and we're going to split it between 54 months. So we're going to divide it and we're going to figure out how much she has to pay every month so that that interest is fully paid off by the time she hits that grace period or the end of the grace period. And it looks like she will be paying just $32.53 every single month while she's in college and that 6-month grace period. And then that will save her almost $1,000 in interest. It's not very bad, is it? A couple cups of coffee. All right, last example. Instead of a federal loan, suppose that Ariana had been able to get a private loan at, well, a slightly higher interest rate of a 6.4% for the same time period with immediate repayment, meaning she'll have to start paying the moment she borrows the money. That is, as soon as the funds are deposited in her account, she must begin making monthly payments. What would her monthly payment be? What would her total payments be? And then how much would she have paid in interest? All right, so we're going to start by remembering what our monthly payment formula is. All right, so we have our M is equal to P times R over 12 times 1 plus R over 12 the power of 12t all over 1 plus r over 12 to the power of 12t minus 1. We know that our rate was a 0, in this case is a 0.064. We know our principal, right, is that 9,100. So same amount of money. So 9,100, our rate is the 0.064 over 12. 1 plus a 0.064 over 12. 12 times, we still have 10 years. Let me move this out of the way. We still have 10 years. All over 1 plus 0.064 over 12. 12 times 10 minus 1. And then let's go ahead and let's use Desmos. And let's get this. So we had our 9,100, 1 plus 0.064 over 12 to the power of 12 times 10 years. And I think I am missing one part. Let's get that in. 0.064 over 12. 1 plus 0.064 over 12 to the power of 12 times 10 minus 1. Let's make sure everything's good. That looks right. So it looks like $102.87. All right, so 102.87 a month, every month for 10 years will cover the cost of her college. All right, so the question is, that answers the first question, monthly payment. What will her total payments be? Well, she's paying this every month for 10 months. Every month for 10 years. So that is 10 times 12 or 120 months. So let's take this, look at our total payments. And we are going to take that monthly amount, 102.87, and let's multiply that by 12 for every month for 10 years. All right, so we have 102.87 times 12 times 10 years. So that will be a total of $12,344.40. $12,344.40. That's her total payments for all of her loans. And then the question is, how much interest will she have paid? Well, if we remember correctly, the interest is the difference between how much was borrowed and how much we paid. So our interest here will be that $12,344.40 minus the $9,100 that was actually borrowed. So let's do that. Minus $9,100. And we can see that the interest here is $3,244.40. $3,244.40. And we can see that definitely this $3,244 is a cheaper option than here, is a cheaper option than here. So maybe if you have the ability to pay every single month and get that private loan, might be the best option. And that's the lesson.